Okay, and welcome back. So we've made our very basic legs. We are going to build on this. So we're just going to give them a bit of a extrude up into a waist. Kind of exaggerate our waistline here. Okay, so again, this is just a very rough kind of start to this, so we don't want to get too bogged down in detail. So one of the interesting parts of this, when you scale, they scale towards each other, but when you go G, it gets skinnier. And keep in mind we've still clipping turned on, so I'll turn that off for a little bit. So we will move that over there a bit. I'll move that in there a little bit. Okay, so now if we look up here, we can see that we have 11 verts selected. So if we count them around, we've got 11, which isn't kind of a strange kind of number. You'd normally have 12. I'm quite tempted to make it 12 by doing that. And that will allow us to make it a little bit more rounded. So we can go S and X, but we're going to make everything a bit more rounded. So I don't know if that was a good idea, but we'll leave that in there. And at the moment we're on, we're just shy of 500 verts. So this character will probably have a couple, about 4,000 or 5,000 when we're finished, which is absolutely fine for all sorts of uses. It would be perfect in a game, engine, and as a starting point for a character, not bad. What we end up here will never, it won't be a photorealistic character ever because of how we're making the proportions, etc. So we're not going to worry too much about having lots of geometry to make them too real. So let's extrude this up. Let's remember to turn clipping back on, and extrude it once more. We'll loop cut here, scale it, move it in a bit, and then what we want to make is our arm. So let's take this, well, let's do that one. This loop here and go Shift D and move it up and rotate it into place. And we're going to give our character a nice kind of long looping arm. Now we're going to make him a bit kind of taller and slimmer, and if we go back to our reference sort of image, is this sort of very skinny long kind of guy here. So so let's extrude out an arm, and we can scale it up a bit. Actually, let's scale it down and scale down this. And so we'll scale it to the elbow. Now we'll give this a bit of a turn. We're just going to invert the normals. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. So this on this one. So L and Control N, invert normals. And we're going to give our elbow, scale it out, let's scale it in, and get rid of CCleaner, and okay, let's do that from a better view. So scale it in, and then so we're just doing sort of kind of basic shapes here. Extrude this out for our forearm, and we'll give him a sort of a basic sort of sleeve here. Okay, and we'll hit smooth and smooth it out. And now we want to join all this together and give them a bit of a neck. So again, we'll take this and I'm going to go Shift D and lift it up here. Now I'm going to go S for scale, and you can see the verts have all ran over that way. And then I'm going to go G and move it in. And let's see if we can kind of distribute these a little bit better. Make it a wee bit rounder. Okay. So this is basically going to be our target at the base of the neck. So, and we'll lift it up a little bit to there. Now the start of this is quite simple. We'll take these two, we go GX, move it out a bit. Now we'll come back and we'll attack this with sort of proportional editing tools and make it all a bit more kind of rounded and sensible. So we've joined there, and then we're going to take these here and we're going to extrude out for a shoulder and then cross, and then we will take these guys here, press L and position this about here, make it a tiny bit bigger, and then we will join 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'll hit W and bridge edge loop. So let's select all that and Control N, and not too bad. Okay, so there's numerous ways to proceed from here, but the simplest one is to do this. So make a face there and there, and then use Control or, create a loop cut, and we'll move this forward and join these here. Again, this is all quite crude and basic, but it'll give us kind of a rudimentary sort of shape, and it will allow us to start joining this mesh together in a more kind of realistic way. Keep in mind all the time we're trying to create quads, so not triangles. So if I'm adding in extra loop cuts and you're going, why did he put that there? It's normally just so that I can create squares, because I do not want triangles. And why do I not want triangles? Well, because the graphics cards do not like the triangle. Well, that's not true. The animation will deform in slightly unpredictable ways when we create triangles. Okay, so we're going to kind of repeat this process here at the back. So take those three and those three, and go W bridge edge loop, and put in a loop cut and fill it in here. And GUI, move that out. Fill that in there, and we need one more. So GUI, and we've 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've kind of stitched together our arms and our shoulders. We can take these three here and extrude on X, and because we have our clipping turned on, they'll just stop in the middle. I can do the same on this side here. I can take these three and extrude on X, and they'll go straight across. We can see that we need one and a loop cut here, so we can join this geometry. And the same on this side, only over here we have two. So I'm going to go Control or and then use the middle mouse wheel to add an extra loop cut, so face, oops, not rotate, face, and then from here we're just trying to make it all work. So oops, those two can join, and those two can join, and those two, I'm going to make a loop cut here. This is all very straight, so it's all straight lines that are not terribly organic looking, so we'll have to come back and do quite a bit of work on this. And G and Y, bring that out, and so we will put a loop cut across our shoulder. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to delete that. It's unnecessary. 1, 2, 3, 4, face and face. Okay, and we can probably move this guy and this guy and this guy. Okay, and we're going to kind of do something similar over here. We've less geometry on this side, so we've less kind of less choices. So we can put in a very large panel here, and it makes sense to loop cut that one. Here's a face. Again, this is quite. These are, you know, very prominent sort of areas in the character to have such large kind of faces on. So we'll have, yeah, we'll have to come back and do a good bit of work on this, or we get undesirable sort of stretching. Okay. And here we have, you know, there's a few choices, so I can just delete some of these verts that are, so we can delete that, and that solves all our problems. But again, we're left with large areas with a minimal amount of geometry. It mightn't be a bad idea to add a loop cut there. Actually it would. That's a lot of extra geometry for relatively small gain. So we'll do some moving. Okay, so I don't want to get lost in detail, as I am I'm prone to do. So select it all, we'll make it smooth, and we'll just have a very quick look at what we have. So some of this is very ugly, but we'll give it a whoops. And okay. So as a very, very basic sort of starting point, this is not too bad. So we have a torso, and then obviously we need to make hands and we need to make a head. So we're 14 minutes into here, so that's two kind of 14-minute long pieces, so one for the legs and one for the torso and the arms. So I was going to stop this video now, and then in the next one we'll add in hands, and then we'll do head, and then we'll come back and start adding in detail.